Hello and welcome to another video. I'm Maz and today I'm in Gloucester. And in today's video I'll be trying out this Lexus NX. This car was kindly lent to me by my friend Nathan, who previously used to own a couple of small Alphas, but has now upgraded to this. And if you are a Lexus owner or an Alpha owner and you'd like your car featured on the channel, feel free to reach out. A quick overview: the Lexus NX, which according to Lexus stands for Nimble Crossover, is Lexus's answer to the BMW X3, the Mercedes GLC, the Audi Q5, the Alfa Stelvio, the Jaguar F-Pace and the Range Rover Velar. A very competitive market. It was launched in 2014 and went on sale early 2015. And this first generation lasted up until 2021, being replaced by its second generation, and this generation did get a facelift around 2017. And with that update came some new trim levels, such as the F Sport and the Takumi. This was prior to that, being a late 66 registration, and this trim is just known as the Lux. This particular car is also the NX300 Hybrid. You could also get the NX200T, which has the 2-litre turbo, but this, the 300H, sits higher up in the range. Unfortunately, there is no NXF to take on the Stelvio QV or the F-Pace SVR. So this NX300 uses a 2.5-litre 4-cylinder mated to a hybrid system, and it churns out 197 PS. Not much, but it is the flagship engine. Various parts are shared with the Toyota equivalent, the RAV4, but generally speaking it is very distinctively different to its Toyota counterpart. And as I've mentioned, this car ended production in 2021 to make way for the second generation. Being a relatively new car, there's not much to talk about. And if you want to see me try out another Lexus, click on the top right hand corner of the screen or in the link in the description down below. So here is the front of the Lexus NX, and here is the key. It's a very plain looking key fob, other than the Lexus badge and this little metal piece here. On the reverse you just get your lock, unlock and tailgate function. This particular example is in a very striking red colour. It's also got a very nice flake to it. And let's come up close. So this is the signature Lexus spindle grille, which has been with Lexus since 2014 with the introduction of the RCF. Along with the introduction of the RCF came these Lexus separate piece LED DRLs, which also house the indicators. This particular car has xenon headlights. You've got the xenon housing there, and then your main beam is halogen. Once again, this is the luxury trim. Sportier models will have a slightly larger intake here. And because this is a hybrid, you get this blue outline on the Lexus emblem. Coming to the side, it's got these twin 5-spoke wheels in this grey colour. Nothing much to talk about. If you want nicer wheels, you can go for an F Sport. This particular car even has mud flaps, which are well integrated to the plastic cladding. If I just come closer, it looks like it's all one piece. Here's what the mirror looks like, which I think is very well designed. And I also like the fact that it's mounted onto the door as opposed to the glass area. The overall side silhouette, it's not the most exciting, but for what it is a little bit more interesting. I particularly like how sharp the silver trim is around the windows and how angular the door handles are. And once again, the red really stands out. And of course, it's a hybrid, distinguished by this emblem. And if you look closer, there are no side skirts. The car is locked now, so since we're close by, if we just do this, the car unlocks. But yes, the point I was trying to make is the doors extend all the way to the bottom. So if you're out and about on a green lane, you don't have to worry about dirtying the backs of your trousers when exiting the vehicle. Coming to the back now, once again very distinctive, nothing major as far as overall design, but for a crossover it is very good looking. I'd say this is definitely much nicer than an X3. One thing I'd like to mention, in UK cars, this is your reverse light, but on this side you can see you get 3 dots. That is your fog light, so that means you only get a reverse light on one side and fog light the other. But styling wise, this red section is meant to look like an L shape for Lexus. This is a design that Lexus are still incorporating to this day. Once again, the luxury trim has all these silver finishes to it, and nothing much exhaust wise. Coming to the boot, opening the tailgate now, so to do that, press and hold the tailgate button. A little time consuming, but at least it's there as an option. This is how much space you get. And interestingly, the owner of this car even has a Lexus branded rubber mat for his boot lining. Being a tailgate, you get this parcel shelf. There's also underfloor storage, but there's too many storage at the moment to showcase that. You got a 12-volt socket here and a tether point here as well. And to close the tailgate, either press this or once again use this switch as well. Coming inside, once again these door handles kind of look L-shaped, and as I've mentioned, it's got a very quirky window surround, which I really like. In the back, you do get some very nice leather here and some pebble texture on the door top. Being a Japanese car, it's very common to have the door lock integrated to the door handle, which I'm not the biggest fan of. They look a bit too economy car-like. And you also get this silver trim here. This particular car has the standard speakers, but if you want, you can get a Mark Levinson sound system as well. There's a little storage cubby here and a bigger one here. Now sitting inside, it feels very nice and airy in here despite having privacy glass. This is mainly thanks to this massive glass roof, which can also be closed if you want. Once again, the leather is very, very soft. You get Isofix points here. You also get a center armrest, and if I press this button, 2 cup holders. And look how well dampened that is. And if you're wondering where the center belt is, it's actually all the way up there. Legroom is very, very generous. Knee room as well. You even get pockets on the backs of the seats, which even the pockets are in this very nice material. You get vents in the back as well. This particular car has rubber mats, which I think are very useful. And these grab handles are somewhat dampened, and there's a place to hang your coat as well. Despite being sat in the back, you also get the ability to recline the rear seats. So right now, the seat I'm sat in is in its most upright position. Give that a pull, and now it's reclined all the way back here. Coming to the business end right now. And once again, the door has this very yielding soft leather, and of course you got the stitching pattern on the top. And once again, the door handles are in this silver finish with the door lock here. I'm seriously not a fan of that. And you get an even bigger door pocket here. Plastics are a little cheap down there, but that's really nitpicking. And you get Lexus branded kick plates. And here's what the interior looks like. Now coming inside, things get a lot nicer here. From my perspective, the dash is very high up, so it does feel like you're cocooned in. And once again, you get these very, very comfortable front seats. So here's my point of view. Very nice leather steering wheel. This has gone a bit shiny, but I do like that they've given you contrast stitching. The dials look very classy. We'll get back to that later since they're clearly backlit. You get the cruise control on this separate stalk, and there are some options here, but as you can see, quite a lot of them are blanked, and these buttons do look like they came straight out of a Toyota. This one here isn't even slotted in properly. But yes, you got your collision avoidance here, parking sensors, and the tailgate. And behind the steering wheel are these buttons here for your mileage counter and the brightness of your dials. Even more blank switches here, but luckily the answer and decline buttons for your phone are here as well, which are very easy to get to. No paddles in this particular car. And here's a gearbox. All hybrid Toyota and Lexus products use a CVT gearbox. And thankfully, this one does not have the mouse pad. Instead, it has this rotary dial, like you get in a BMW iDrive system. Because this is not a sport, the pedals look very basic. To open the glove box, you press this button here. And as you can see, it is very well dampened and fairly large as well. And the entire glove box is lined in felt. Opening this now, you get a phone cradle here and a very tiny storage cubby. Actually, it's a lot larger than I thought. A very large cubby underneath the cradle. Here's what the seats look like. Again, these are not the sporty seats, but the bolsters do look adequate. And of course, there's no shoulder supports. Here are your sun visors, the vanity mirror with the light, and here's a slot for your notes. This particular car has cream seats, so the cream headlining matches the overall interior very well. And once again, a grab handle that's fairly dampened. And here's the switch to open and close the blind for your sunroof. We'll leave that open since it's very nice and sunny. Okay, so let's turn on the ignition. Here's the welcome screen on between the dials. Here's the Lexus emblem turning on. Audio is currently off. Press the menu button to go into the main home screen. So here's your audio, map, climate, telephone, car settings, general information, setup, and display. But yeah, very simple infotainment screen, and I'm very thankful it's got the dial and not the mouse pad. Let's see what the map looks like. Oh, it makes a very beepy noise when you press the down button. And of course, that's what your map looks like. So back to menu. There is a slight delay, but for a car of this age, it's tolerable. But yeah, that beep, I am not the biggest fan of. Makes it sound a bit too appliancey. So yeah, that's all there is to report. So foot on the brake, start the car. Here's what the dials look like. As I've mentioned, they're backlit, which I think is the sweet spot. Let me just turn off the fan. Which is the sweet spot between analog dials and fully digital screens. I think this is the best compromise out of the two. Being a CVT, you don't really need a rev counter. There's the car starting. And if I turn this dial here, there's even an EV mode here, as well as a hill hold. If I go into sport mode, a rev counter shows up. Go back to eco, you get your eco dial. And then press down the dial for normal mode. So that's the exterior and interior done now, so let's see what this car is like to drive. So, seatbelt on. Foot on the brake. Move the seat forward. And steering adjustment is manual in this particular car. Let's leave it there. Into drive. So interestingly, it's got the old jigsaw movement with the gear selector, just covered with a gator, which does show its age a little bit. So yeah, off we go. So from first impressions, the steering wheel, it comes out at a very sharp angle, so I'm fine with the bottom of the wheel, but the top of the wheel feels a bit too far away. But if I were to fix that, then it's too sort of low down for comfort. So yeah, if it's at the optimum reach at the bottom, it's going to be too far away at the top. So yeah, even though this is telescopic, it does tilt a bit too much. I've got to press the button to be in hold. Onto Eastern Avenue now, so let's see what it's like on stop start. So from where I'm sat, it's very nice and airy. Mirrors are massive, so very easy to look out of. Good view from behind. Rear three-quarter visibility is fairly good. C-pillar is a bit bad for visibility, but that extra window there does help a little bit. That hill hold assist is very, very helpful. Brakes are a little grabby. On the roundabout, what it's like on a roundabout, a little bit of body roll, but nothing major. The bolsters are doing their job very well. And let's see what the comfort is like. So many undulations on this road, ideal to test this car's suspension, and this car is coping very, very well. For reference, the previous car that I viewed was a lot stiffer, so to come into this feels very, very nice. But yeah, thanks to its higher ride height, it just glides over those speed bumps. Here's another one. Okay, that one was halfway, but let's try going one fully over. Yep, that went through very well. Here's a manhole. Yep, that does well. And so did this other speed bump. I could do this all day. This must be the most comfortable car that I've driven through here. Not a big fan of that whirring noise when decelerating, but that's only because I'm in normal mode. And of course this is a hybrid, so it's operating in electric motor only. Later on we'll see what it's like with its petrol engine operating. So yeah, that's the comfort test done, and it certainly passed that. So let's see what it's like driving in the city. So yes, in the city centre, nothing happening around here. Steering is very, very light, ideal for these quick maneuvers around the city centre, as well as three-point turns. The steering, let's see how precise it feels. Here comes a right-hander. Yeah, so there is a slight vagueness to the steering, but again, that could be because it's a lot more light in its sensitivity, and that's the sort of stuff that people who are buying these cars are more interested in. Here comes another right-hander. Off we go. In terms of cruising along, that vagueness isn't really a big issue. It's only when you come out of something sportier like an F-Pace does that really make a difference. But again, thanks to how quiet it is today, there's nothing much to report. At another red light, so that's going to be that very tight left-hander. Okay, so tight left-hander, any body roll? Not necessarily noticeable. The bolster was having to work a little hard. What it may lack in shoulder support, it more than makes up for lower back. So one last thing to check, see what it's like on the open road. Let's quickly dial that into sport, and now I've finally got a rev counter. The red line is at 5,500 RPM. So it's not very revvy, this engine. Also, being a CVT, it technically doesn't need a rev counter because it's all belt driven. Currently in a 50 zone. it does make a nice noise when you put your foot down in sport mode. Again, it's still an electronic whirring noise. But yeah, as we come around the corner, we're about to make our way onto the bypass. Also, I'm sat quite low, but if you want, you can adjust the seat to sit a lot higher. I prefer to be cocooned within the interior, so I do prefer this driving position. Okay, so we're in the national speed limit now, but it's a bit trafficy. Okay, it's cleared up now, so 3, 2, 1, kick down. And there's kick down. So nothing much to talk about in terms of what it's like dynamically. But that being said, if I get to 70, the car, well, it's CVT, so it's continuously variable. So it could be at any revs at 70. But if I put my foot down, it's at over 3,000 revs. Well, yes, sporty, fun to drive. Unfortunately, this isn't quite it. But if I just rest my foot at 70, the car revs at 2,000 RPM. Interestingly, there is a sport mode. Unfortunately, plus and minus are the wrong way round, so it's plus is forwards. It's got 6 gears. And now if I try to do 70 in its highest gear, hard to really judge the CVT because it's so confusing to me. I much prefer to have a torque converter automatic, a ZF 8-speed for example. I mean, there's no point to see what it's like after the U-turn, so I might as well just head back to the car park and finalize this video. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching me try out this Lexus NX300h. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you are new, ring the bell to stay up to speed, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.